Hi everyone, it's Arsh, and in today's session we're talking about 5 top tips to succeed in property. Now, I appreciate that this is quite a generic title and everyone wants to succeed in property. Now, what I'm going to do today is literally list the 5 things that have got me through to property success. So first of all, I want to say a quick hello and thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. We've finally hit 5,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for that. YouTube doesn't come natural to me, I'll be completely honest, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Hopefully you're enjoying the new videos. Hopefully you're enjoying the weekly consistent videos, and this is part of the property journey that I'm also going to take you on as well. If you like what you see, will like what you hear, please press the subscribe button below, press the notification bell. Also share it with your friends, with your like-minded friends, and let's open this reach. So, 5 top tips. I'm going to refer down to some of my notes that I've got down here because I've made a load of notes because this is a generic topic. Everyone wants to be successful in property. Everyone wants to know how to become successful in property. And these are the things that have got me through to where I am today. So, first thing I would say is tip number 1, focus and discipline. This might seem quite, thinking, well, why is he telling me this? I'm already focused, I'm already disciplined, I'm already in property. But I've come across hundreds, if not thousands of people that want to get involved in property who kind of run out of steam very quickly. Now, one thing I am going to say, and I say this to all my students as well, property is a marathon, it is not a sprint. For those that treat it like a sprint will burn out very quickly. For those that treat it like a marathon and are there for the endurance and the test of time, these are the guys that will succeed. You've got to shut the noise out. So with property, I find that there's lots of people making lots of noise. And it all dependent upon you as to which noise you listen to and which you cut out. Now, for me, I've kind of shut it all out. And reason being is that you can get distracted by the noise. So I said to myself, you know what? These are certain people that I'm going to kind of look to, and these are all the rest that I'm going to shut out. And it allows me to focus on my vision. Now, one of the things that I will say is when we're talking about focus, you can't just go out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other, I'm going to do rent to rent, I'm going to do developments, I'm going to do this. You've got to kind of stick to a certain path. And the reason why I say you've got to stick to a certain path is because you'll be spinning so many plates, you don't actually know which direction you're going in. So you need a clear level of direction. And when we talk about direction, I suggest you sit down, you create a list of goals and your vision for the next 1 year, for the next 3 years, and the next 5 years. And then keep assessing them every step of the way. Now, I've set goals myself every year without fail. And so what I do, I tend to say, well, here's what I want to achieve. So I always look with the end goal in mind. So I said to myself, here's what I would like to achieve. But in order for me to achieve that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do the other. So in that respect, I'm creating a headline goal. Then I'm creating lots of mini goals underneath to ensure that I hit the headline goal. Hopefully that kind of makes sense, and hopefully I'm not waffling. So you've got to make sure that the goals are sustainable. I come across lots of people that say, Arsh, I want to get involved in deal sourcing, I want to get involved in deal trading, and I want to do 50 deals in the first year. As great as it sounds, it's not sustainable, especially if you're first learning it. Now, I'm at a level where we do approximately 500 deals a year. But you've got to remember, I'm 20 years in the game. I'm 20 years of doing this consistently, which is one of the points that I'm going to talk about. First, we're going to talk about our focus. First, we're going to talk about our goals and our visions. And then we've got to remain consistent in our action. And the reason why I talk about consistency is, again, I come across lots of people who go out, treat it like a sprint, and say, Arsh, I'm going to go and put out 100 letters. Okay, great. 100 letters is great. First of all, you take an action. Well done. 100 letters is not going to get you a great response level. More importantly, when I was doing my marketing campaigns, I was hitting 100,000 leaflets at a time to ensure that we got a mass introduction or we did a mass campaign, and as a result of that, we got a lot of leads back in. As a result of getting the leads, we managed to do the business and convert them on the back end. Now, if you're sending 100 letters, it may be 100 targeted letters, which is great. And if they are targeted, great. When I did the leaflet campaign, I literally mass blanketed marketed the whole area. Whereas I know lots of people now that will send out 100 letters to people who we believe are selling properties or are interested in a rent-to-rent, etc. And that's great, but I've never really tried that. And it may work, but you're a very limited market as to who's going to come back to you and when they're going to come back to you. So don't expect a massive response from that. I know that now there's obviously lots of other ways of doing marketing, such as Facebook campaigns, e-marketing, shall we call it. So you've got to remain disciplined, you've got to remain focused, and you've got to remain consistent in your action. Putting out one letter is not really going to produce results, because let's face it, every time you get a letter, you're going to get a letter, okay, this is from Mr. Smith who's proposing to buy my property, great. Now, he may put that down, but if you follow up with a second letter and you follow up with a third letter, the vendor might think, you know what, to be fair, this guy's quite serious. He really wants to buy my property. Shall we have a chat with him? And this is where you start to get results. You start to get results as a result of consistently following up. Have you ever heard of the term, the money's in the follow-up? And that's completely true. If you only send one letter, chances are you're not going to get a response. If you send multiple letters, you'll see that to the same vendor, the vendor will actually call you and say, you're actually sending me quite a few letters. Now, do you want to have a quick chat? Think about this in other industries. And a good example is the double glazing industry. Pre to GDPR, how many times did they use to call you? How many times did they use to contact you? How many different methods did they use to contact you? Every time you opened a newspaper, they were there. Every time you went to open your post, there was a leaflet there. They would write a letter to you. They would call you. They, as much as annoying as it was, they were in your face. They were there, and they said, guys, let us help you. And over a period of time, if you didn't want it right then, what they were doing is creating almost like an image in your memory, so that every time you thought, okay, I'm thinking about double glazing now, I should call this company because they contacted me lots of times, and I kind of feel like I know them now. Think of all the large brands today. If you think of fast food, what's the first thing that you think of? You kind of think of McDonald's. If you think of fizzy drinks, what's the first drink that you think of? You kind of think of Coca-Cola. You think of social network brands, what's the first thing that you think of? Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook and Instagram, and these are all controlled by Facebook. If you think about messaging systems, what's the first one that you think about? Most people would think about WhatsApp. So again, these are there consistently being pushed in your face. You may not realize it, but it is subtle marketing to get you to that point. So that's step number one. You've got to remain consistent. You've got to remain focused. You've got to remain disciplined, and you've got to set yourself some realistic goals and visions for the next 1, 3, and 5 years. So I call these short, medium, and long-term goals. Step number two, which I think is quite important, is be creative. Now, we're in a crowded marketplace. Property is a crowded marketplace. It never used to be like this. Before social media, I never used to know what property investors in Milton Keynes were doing, or Northampton or Scotland or Bournemouth, wherever it may be. However, with the click of a button now on Facebook or on all the other platforms, LinkedIn, etc., I kind of get to know these people, and I pretty much know majority of property investors across the country, and it has become a small and a crowded marketplace. Now, my question to you, when we're talking about being creative, what makes you different? What's your USP? What's your unique selling point? What makes you different to that person that's offering a rent-to-rent deal in your location? Why should they deal with you? Because let's face it, every landlord that you approach, they've probably been approached by 5 or 6 other people as well. You're not unique in the way that you're approaching. If you're going through the HMO registers, or you send them a letter, they've probably received multiple other letters. So what makes you different? Why should they deal with you? You've got to stand out in the crowd, and that goes with anything. That goes with anything that you do. Now, I like to think that one of my USPs is the fact that I have been here 20 years, the fact that I've got this wealth of experience, the fact that they're not just dealing with a new investor who probably knows a little about property, whereas I can say that I've got a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of other properties. So they've kind of got that confidence to saying, yeah, okay, I kind of understand it. I kind of understand who he is. I understand everything about it, and we go from there. But what makes you different? What are you going to offer that other people haven't offered? Everyone will offer the same thing. We're going to offer guaranteed rent. We're going to offer maintenance. We're going to look after the property. We're going to put cleaners in. That's standard. What makes them different? So one of the things that I'm going to put in here is one of the tips is also be human. Now, the reason why I say this is actually tip number 3. So I'm going to amalgamate tip number 2 and number 3. When you're being creative, you've also got to remember the human interaction. It's when you're sending a letter is a piece of paper. It's kind of got no emotion whatsoever. All it will say, all it will have a piece of paper with some words on it. How the person reads that letter, you have no control over. Therefore, the tonality, etc., is completely out of your control. Now, the one thing I will say is that when you get to speak to the owner, this is the key as to whether they're going to work with you or not. When I say being a human or being human, you've got to start to build rapport. Everything that I do with our business, I make sure that there's kind of a face surrounding it so that people can relate to that face. And when you look at some of the larger brands in the world today, again, let's just use one of the largest ones, Virgin. Who's the face of Virgin? Feel free to answer it in the comments below. Very clearly, it's Richard Branson. If you have a look at some of the larger brands in the world, they've got a face. So what you really want to do is be able to build rapport with that person, understand what their needs and the reason for them doing this deal with you. So understanding what they're paying, their motivation is. And as a result of that, make sure that you kind of hit all the trigger points. Don't just go in for the jugular, I'm going to offer you 25% below market value, because that might not be the right angle. Take some time to assess, take some time to build some rapport, understand what the needs of that vendor is before you go and make your offer. Money is not always a motivator, and I say this time and time again, and people sometimes think I'm a bit stupid when I say that, but if you go in and just offer 25 or 30% below the market value, you've kind of not really understood the vendor and their needs. So remember, people say, these are for listening, this is for talking. Use this to listen first. Whenever I sit in a meeting, chances are you probably won't hear me say a lot. I'll sit there and I'll listen to everything that's going on. I'll listen to what's going on. I'll listen to everything that everyone's said. And I'll also read the signals in the room as well. Who's saying what, why they said that, at what point have we said that, etc. So when I go to meet a vendor, I understand, I have a look around the property. Yes, that's great. Then I sit down with the vendor and try and understand what's going on in them. Why do they want to sell now? Why have they contacted me? Why have they not put it on with an agent? Have they previously tried with an agent? What's the real reason for sale? Is there money issues? Is there marital issues? Is it simply a case that they want to go somewhere else? Are they going to a different country? Are they upscaling? Are they downscaling? There's so many different reasons why a vendor wants to sell. And people just automatically assume that they're in money financial difficulty. So therefore they will say, yeah, okay, we're going to offer you 25, 30% below the value. But that's not really meeting the needs of the vendor. Remember, people do business with people that they like and trust. And one thing that I try and do in all of our business is that we over-deliver and under-promise. I don't want to go in there and say, guys, I'm going to buy your house in 7 days. It's going to be a cash buy and we're going to complete within, a few days. Little do they know is that I'm going to try and drag it out for four months just so that I can, buy myself some time. That's not what I do. I'd rather say, guys, okay, here's realistically where we are. I think it's going to take approximately 2 months. It all depends on the speed on both solicitors. I just want to be 100% transparent, but all the way I'm going to be communicating with you so that you know exactly what's going on. If you're looking to buy another house and you've got time to go, I'd rather you communicate with me directly so that I can then communicate that to our solicitors so that everyone's on the same page. So these are little hints and tips that have got me to where I am today. There's no magic behind it. It takes hard work and it takes consistent action. Tip number 4, getting things done. Now, I'm a big believer in this, is that be a doer, not a talker. I come across loads of people, Arsh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. This year I'm going to smash this. Going back to my previous example, this year I'm going to smash 50 deals this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this strategy. I'm going to do that strategy. Don't care what you're going to do. Tell me when you've done it. Arsh, I actually just completed on this deal. Arsh, I've just taken on this property. I don't like the word I'm going to. I like to refer to I have done. So when we talk about it, put all the steps in place to make it happen. So for argument's sake, I want to buy this property. Here's all the steps that I need to do to buy this property. Get your broker in place, get your solicitor in place, get your tax advisor in place, get your accountant in place. Make sure that you've got all your funding in place. Make sure you've got all your legals in place. Make sure that you've got your strategy in place. Is it going to be a HMO? Do you need an architect? Do you need a builder? Get it all in place. Get it all completed, and then come back to us. And don't just go out and say, oh, I've seen a property, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Come back to us and say, you know what, here's a property, I saw it, I took action, and here's the action, and here's the results of it. That's what really impresses people. It's not a case of, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, or, you know, this year I'm going to smash this. You'll notice that I never really talk about my goals at the start of the year, because that is all the things that I would like to do. I like to reflect at the year end and say, here's all the things that I have done. And as a result of that, there will be some things that I didn't get a chance to do. And it could be because of time, it could be because of some other external influences. Now, one of the good things that I am at is I'm good at doing. I'm good at putting things in place. Like the start of last week, I came up with a new venture whilst I was away in Cornwall with my family. I started writing it out, started mapping it all out. And as a result, I put it into action last Monday. Now, we're hopefully launching it within a space of, I'm hoping that within 2 weeks we've done all our research, we've got everything ready, we've got the platform ready, and we're going to be launching within the next couple of weeks. Now, that is from literally from thought of concept to delivery of concept. And that's all within a couple of weeks. Now, that is doing it, not talking about it, not thinking about it. Oh, I'd like to. If there are other things that are going to if you require funding to get it done, you need to get it in place. If you require JV funding, how many people have you spoken to? Oh, I'd like to do this project, but I haven't got the money. Go out and make it happen. Now, finally, I say this, and this is a big one. Tip number 5, competitive spirit. There's nothing better than having a bit of competition to spur you along. Now, in property, with Facebook and with Instagram, it's very easy to get carried away. Oh, this guy's done this deal. Oh, this guy's done this deal. And to be fair, even I kind of get involved in that sometimes. Even though I try to shut out the noise, sometimes you see someone and they've done this deal, think, oh, okay, that's a decent deal. With me and my level of experience, maybe I should do deals like that. So there's nothing wrong with having some competition. Find yourself someone that you want to potentially compete against. Again, shutting out the noise of the mass and the thousands of people and focus on a few people. Maybe someone's doing something within your field that you think is doing great things in that field. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking up to someone. There's nothing wrong with thinking, you know what, to be fair, they've done a great deal. You know what, congratulate people along the way. I never shoot anyone down. It's very rare that you hear me say a bad word against someone. That's not within my nature. I go out every morning and say, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'll try and help as many people along the way. That's my mantra, really. I like to help people, hence why I do these YouTube videos. I give as many hints and tips available as possible. Find someone that's doing it within your field and try and look up to them and try and figure out what they're doing. And more importantly, if it's going well for them, why don't you almost copy and repeat, rinse and repeat? There's nothing wrong with that. Let's face it, there's no new strategies in property. It's all about how you implement it. And it could be that because you're better with your human approach and all the little things that you do, the USP and what you can offer, you may actually be better than them, which means that they may start looking up to you as opposed to you looking up to them. You've got to start somewhere. So there we have it, guys. My 5 top tips. I appreciate it's a little bit longer than normal, but hopefully you found them of use and of value. As always, please like, subscribe, press the notification bell as you can see below. You can find me on all social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all that kind of jazz. More importantly, if you like free content like this, you can actually listen to my podcast, which we release every Tuesday. It's called The Property Rebel. You can find it on all podcast channels. So you can find us on iTunes, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. More importantly, if you are looking for property deals and you're kind of new to property, or whether you're an experienced campaigner and you're looking for more deals, or you want to get a good feel of what kind of deals are out there, why don't you download the Property Investor app? It's the UK's first property investment platform in the form of an app. So we've created the UK's first marketplace, shall we say. You can upload deals if you like, or if you want, you can actually buy deals off the app. All you've got to do is go to propertyinvestorapp.co.uk. Alternatively, if you've got a smartphone, all you do is go to the App Store and type in Property Investor, and you'll see our app there. It takes approximately 2 minutes to download and get registered, completely free to do so, and hopefully you'll find something that's going to take your fancy there. On that note, guys, as always, I wish you well. I wish you a great week ahead. I wish you every success, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.